You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, in Disney.
Well, that's exactly true. The Watchtower has been saying the end is near now for over 100 years. But anyways, I'm glad you're coming in tonight to the Six Screens of the Watchtower JW World News. Friends, we have been doing this for 19 years. On the 26th of January, just a month ago, we were on the air here for 19 years, broadcasting every Saturday night. We have never missed a Saturday night. We are here because you are here. Friends, my name's Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And boy, I'll tell you what, a lot of people, they write me. I just had in fact, a woman wrote me this week. Kind of reminds me of my wife, Susan, when I first met her. She's from Illinois, and she said, Rick, and I remember her talking to me before we were married, before I even really met her in person. And she'd say, Rick, we have no apostates out here in Chicago. Well, I got another person, a woman this week, same message. No apostates in Chicago. I mean, Chicago's a big city. It's bigger than Boston. It's one of the largest cities in the United States. No, and she's talking about Illinois. So she also says we have no apostates out this way. Well, I have to tell you, don't you worry. There's going to be plenty of apostates coming wherever you are in your neck of the woods. There are so many people leaving right now. It's unbelievable. And I do know we have one apostate. In fact, a couple are calling from Chicago. We had Stephan. He was just on earlier. We also have Stephen. He was on, of course, Mark Tapp. You all know him. He had a program on Six Screens for a while. He's also from the Chicago area. So they're getting... I'll tell you what, the apostates are adding up out in Illinois land, so let's hope it happens where you are. Well, we have got so much to talk about. Well, let's start here. How about Still Alive in 2025? That is the theme of our convention that's coming up. It looks like August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 2025. No, not 2024. We're about 17 months away. So actually, it's about 19, I believe. I haven't checked it, but I think it's about 19 months away. So you have plenty of time to plan. Now, we already have over 100 people that have written to me here at my studio. And they said, Rick, I want to come. So you're going to have a ticket. Now, I'm not mailing you the tickets yet, but so don't worry. I got your message, and the tickets are going to be numbered. But I want the date on the tickets. And the Hilton Hotel has not given me a date yet. I know I sound like a broken record here, but I don't know. I mean, Hilton I don't know why they're dragging their feet. This is just absurd. This is a big hotel chain. It's not like, a cheap chain either. I mean, when you stay at the Hilton, it usually costs you, somewhat more than like a Motel 8, for example. But to give you an idea, it looks like it is going to be the 1st, the 2nd, 3rd August, 2025. But don't go booking any airline flights or anything yet. As soon as I have the date, you'll know it. So we got people coming in from Australia. We got people coming in from the UK. We got a person coming in, 1 or 2 people from New Zealand. So they're going to be coming in. Friends, this is going to be big. We only have room for 500 people. And already I got 100. And we're like close to 20 months out. So I think we'll fill the auditorium up. And, if you do come, you might be able, if you don't have a seat, that's why we're going to number the seats. And those with numbered seats will have first position. But if not, you can, listen through the door, or maybe if someone comes out, we can stand up and then do something. But so we're going to get discounts from the Hilton Hotel as well. So if you would like to come to the convention, Still Alive in 2025, by all means, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I'll put you on the list. And I'll never mention your name to anybody, so don't worry about that. So, but if you haven't got an email yet, don't worry, but they will go out as soon as I get a date. All right, let's move on. One of the things that's really excited me about the Jehovah's Witness movement in the last few years is governments. And I know I mentioned this a lot, but this is meaningful. Governments are coming down big time on the Watchtower. I know you know that. We talk about it all the time. But I was so pleased to read this week about Germany. They are really hitting the Jehovah's Witness Watchtower organization with a hard bat. Believe me, they are doing a job on the Watchtower. So now let's just name some of these governments. One time, the only ones that were speaking out against Jehovah's Witnesses were the apostates. And it was very, very hard for us to get points on the scoreboard. I mean, for many years, we weren't doing too much. I've been doing this now for close to 20 years, and we weren't making much progress. But I kept thinking, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And I hung in there with it. And boy, I am so happy I could dance in the parking lot tonight, because I am so happy to see so many leaving the Watchtower. They are hemorrhaging. They are on life support. As I say, stick a fork in them, take them off the grill. I don't see how much further they're going to be able to go. This is a dying organization. But just to give you an idea, we talked about Belgium. We talked about Norway. We talked about Sweden. We talked about the United Kingdom. We talked about Canada. We talked about Russia. I mean, we've got, right now, I think we have 10 to 12 governments that are now coming down on the Watchtower. Now, Germany, as I say, I'm so pleased to hear this. And Germany is saying right outward, they're not pulling any punches at all. They're letting it all be said that Jehovah's Witnesses violate human rights. Oh, do I love to see things like that. And not only that, but, let me just give you an idea here. Jehovah's Witnesses, first of all, this was in a court that Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower, they didn't like what the European Federation, it's a court, it's made up of a number of European countries, more than 30 countries, plus some other countries other than Europe. But the findings that these countries have now made known is the Watchtower is indeed a very dangerous and destructive cult. They say that they violate human rights. Don't you love news like this? This news is very enlightening, very encouraging. So this European Federation, it's like a court, and they are accusing the Watchtower of so many things that they are creating problems for so many people. But you know what really got me here is the Watchtower. They're now trying to sue. They're now trying to sue this federation, European Federation, because they're saying that it's not fair that, this federation is just believing everything that ex-witnesses are telling them. Friends, the ex-witnesses are not telling any lies. The ex-witnesses are telling the truth. So the Watchtower now has got a suit out for this European Federation, and they're saying that, because you're saying, I can't get into all the detail. It'll take me all night to explain it all, but just I'll break it down as fast as I can. What the Federation is saying in Europe is because the Jehovah's Witnesses don't vote, that actually is it's a form of fighting against the state. They say that if they're encouraging people not to vote, even though they don't act as terrorists, in many ways they're fighting against the state by not voting. They're not allowing the witnesses to voice their thoughts on it. And also, they were also saying that this idea of alienation of affection, the court found the Watchtower indeed guilty of alienation of affection. Have you experienced that? Do you think the Federation here in Europe, this court system, is mislabeling the witnesses when they say that they alienate people who well, first of all, I mean, what about you? Don't you think you've been alienated if you're an ex-witness and you have been disfellowshipped? Don't you think you had alienation of affection? Do you think that people still dealt with you the same way now that you left the Watchtower? Absolutely not. But the Watchtower is saying, no, you can't accuse us of that. We might have a passive behavior. They're talking about political feelings here. They're saying that, we're passive when it comes to politically voting, but they said we're not really instigating. We're not creating any problems for the state. But hey, the European court here said, hey, no way you have. So it looks like the Watchtower is losing this on basically all accounts. But what I really like here is that fundamentally, the Jehovah's Witness organization, at least in this committee or this federation, is looked down upon as being evil. And I would think all of us listening to this program tonight would say, yes, they are evil. And you know what really ticked this federation off? Women must be insubordinate to their husbands. That's one of the issues. In today's day and age, even though I think that, there should be subordination, but in today's day and age, it just doesn't go. It says that marriage to a non-believer is discouraged. We know that. And I'm so glad this federation is coming out against this. And they're saying that the Watchtower has disregard for fundamental human rights, since it can affect a person's right to life. Would you agree to that? Would you agree to the Federation's position on this? Do you believe that the Watchtower can actually affect a person's right to life? Yes. Furthermore, I mean, we all know it, right? Furthermore, as the state really is beating up on the witnesses here concerning political position, where they encourage, as I said earlier, they encourage the witnesses not to vote. And the other thing that bothered this commission was the refusal of blood transfusions, refusing medically indicated blood transfusions by, especially for children. They're considering that to be a crime. I always thought it was a crime. For parents to step in and say, no, let my little 2-year-old Cindy die. I don't want her having a blood transfusion. Would you think that's a crime? Well, I would think it's a crime. So consequently, the Watchtower now is in trouble with this commission or this federation, whatever you want to call it. It's like a court. It's like a court that has hearings on aberrant and strange groups. So I would go along with that. I would consider it a crime for Watchtower to allow children to die. Those parents really should be put in prison or at least prosecuted. There's so many things. I mean, I can't get into it all. But this idea of women, I'll go back to that subject. Women must be subordinate. Do you know what that means? I mean, if you're a witness, you know that, the husband is the head of the house, and that's okay. I'm not speaking that that's a bad thing. There are many people that aren't even Jehovah's Witnesses, but the husband is kind of like he's in the forefront. But he's not doing it in a demeaning way to his wife. But this commission, this federation, they said that women are required to acknowledge their husbands as the head. Well, that's a fact. I mean, that's how it is in the Watchtower. And in deciding disputed issues, they have to look at the husband as the head. He will make the final decisions. And then also the wife has to submit to him in sexual matters as well. Now, isn't that something? How many times have you heard that in the Watchtower? The wife has to give her husband the due. I don't really ever remember too much about the husband giving the wife her due. But I mean, this is a federation in Europe. They said, hey, this is kind of like archaic. This is like old world thinking. And, the witnesses are just taking it to the nth degree. Then they also had a lot to say, too, about women's dress. If the elders deem I'm reading it right off of their court rulings here. If the elders deem a woman's dress inappropriate, they can assume brazen conduct. In other words, because she might have a skirt that's a little short, or maybe a blouse that's a little low cut. So the elders can say that that's inappropriate dress. And by you dressing that way, that's brazen conduct. And this could eventually lead to a legal committee proceeding where the woman could be disfellowshipped. So, all of this stuff, boy, I'm so glad that I see this European Federation. It's kind of like an organization. It's like a court that tries to keep people in their place. Because I'll tell you what, if there isn't any court systems or any legality on how you can hold back these aberrant, strange groups, they'll get away with murder. They go on to talk about how dropouts are ostracized. Well, that'll be us apostates, right? On how we're how we're actually treated by people. So I mean, it goes on and on and on. I won't get too more. We won't even discuss it much more here. But this idea, the one thing I'm finding here, if there's anything I can pick out that really would be of major value, I would have to say what I'm noticing here, this federation does not like the way women are treated in the organization. That, I'll tell you really, that's a fact. Now that I look at it, I had 4 daughters, and of course I grew up as a witness with 3 sisters. And I always saw that women were not treated right. They were not treated right in Jehovah's Witness organization. But now this finding is the same thing. And most of it seems to be around women's rights. They've taken rights away from the women. Any thoughts on this at all? What do you think? Isn't it great to see these countries coming down on Jehovah's Witnesses? Go ahead, hit *6 if you got something to say. I'd love to hear what you have to say. What do you think? Do you think women are too subordinate to their husbands? Yes, go ahead. You're on with us, Mike.
Well, I just want to say, Rick, so, this probably couldn't happen here in the United States. We have freedom of religion. So why do you want to don't you think this could be a slippery slope? You want government to get involved in telling a religion how they can operate, what people are allowed to believe on a religious level? I understand you don't like the Watchtower, but see, that couldn't happen here because we have religious freedom in America. You want to take that away and decide what a church or religion can teach their congregants?
Oh, no, Mike, I can see your thoughts on this. And I know you could go down a slippery slope with it, but we have to make a clear, definite demarcation between a religion and an aberrant cult. We have to.
Who's qualified? Well, but Rick, who's qualified to make that decision?
Any normal-minded human being is qualified. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you think so? Well, in America, here's a simple question for you. Who decides in America? What governmental agency decides in America what a religion is? Take a guess.
Well, I would have to say, let me think about it for a second. So you're asking me what governmental agency decides what a religion is? Well, I would have to think first of all, we have a legislative department that would be representatives, Congress people. I would perhaps say, well, I would give me a chance now. I would say congressmen and women. Well, I would also hold on. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. It's the IRS, Rick. It's the IRS. They decide based upon whether or not you don't have to pay taxes. That's who decides what a religion is.
Well, right now the IRS. I agree with you, but I think the IRS is wrong. Not only in deciding what a religion is, but wrong in a lot of their taxation.
Right. Well, I know IRS taxes. That was a big issue with the Scientologists.
But no, it's a good point. No, the IRS would. But don't you think that at some point here, the IRS is going to have to take a position on some of these religions? They're raking big money in, Mike. Big money.
Like when I say a slippery slope, I'm going to tell you. I know you don't. I don't want to get in an argument with you, but they're going to go after religions. Okay, you brought up the blood issue. I'm sure you're aware of the news, Rick. There's states in this country today, in America. Now, this is in America. You can't adopt a child if you're not willing to say, if my child decides he's a member of the LGBTQIA cult, that I'll conform to gender transition or whatever. If you won't submit that you'll conform to that, if that should become an issue, they won't let you adopt the child. Now, they're going to use freedom of religion to say, well, I shouldn't have to conform to that. Well, they're going to say, so what? They took a child away from a family here just recently, I believe and this was in Montana. I guess it was a girl trying to be a boy or whatever. So that's one reason why I say slippery slope. You don't want the government getting in your business is all I'm saying. I get it. You hate the Watchtower, and another thing with Europe, the European nations are extremely extremely secular today. They hate religion. They hate all religion.
Yeah, but Mike, now listen. I mean, so in other words, you're coming on here tonight, and you're taking a position that the Watchtower is right in some of the things they do. You don't see.
I'm taking the position that people have a right to believe whatever they want, Rick. Whether it's true or whether it's correct or not, you have a right to believe what you want.
Well, I mean, well, wait a minute. I mean, what if there was a religion that said, let's go out and murder people? Well, let's go out and rob from the rich and give to the poor. I mean, would you say they have a right to do that?
Well, that's illegal. That's against the law to murder somebody.
Well, don't you think it would be against the law to have a parent? And now the Federation in Europe is looking into this, to have a parent deny a blood transfusion for 2-year-old Cindy. Don't you think that could be deemed as a crime? She could die.
Well, like they said, they'll say it's a crime if you don't cut off a 2-year-old's nuts in America. So I don't know, Rick.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, good to hear from you, Mike.
Oh,
Anyways.
come on, Mike. You know that's a crime.
Debbie, make yourself clear on that. What's a crime? Tell Mike what's a crime, Debbie.
So I don't know.
To let your child die when they could be taken care of with a blood transfusion. It don't matter what religion you are, what country you live in, what color your skin is, or anything. You don't sacrifice your child. It's no different than the people who sacrifice their kids to the gods like Baal. I mean, it's evil, it's wrong, and it's just wrong.
Yeah, it was some people's religion to fly airplanes in the buildings. See,
that don't make it right, does it? It don't make it legal. No. It's not moral.
They have that freedom of belief. It's when they're free. They don't have an absolute freedom of action. They can believe that all of Americans are evil and should die, but if they try to kill us, that's where it's wrong. And it's the same way with the acts of humanity, going against humanity there with the shunning and with the prohibition on blood and all that. That's violating the humanity rights and the person's religious rights, because a lot of these parents, they don't want to keep blood from their kids. They're relieved when a court steps in and orders it to do. I know some personally it was that way, because the elders was telling them to take their kids and leave the hospital and kidnap them. And then whenever the court stepped in, the judge ordered it. You should see the smile come on the parent's face.
Oh, man, that happened to me too with my son. He had to have brain surgery, and I'm telling you what, that liaison committee, I couldn't even go pee without them standing at the door. They followed me everywhere. It was horrible. Pressuring me, don't let them. And I'm like, I finally privately called the neurosurgeon, and I said, please go get a court order to give my child blood so they will leave me alone, and don't tell anybody. My dad knew. He was the only one. Don't tell anybody. I told you that because my dad told me to do it, actually. And I told him, he kept that a secret, but he thought it most of my life. And then he waited till my son was going to have brain surgery to tell me that. So I said, well, they can drain your blood and give it to him. But I'm just saying, they put so much pressure on parents. It's horrible. And
well, they do, Debbie. They do. We don't want to sidetrack it too much. But Debbie, thank you for the comment. We got so many people coming in tonight. Let's go to 978. Go ahead, 978. You're on with us. All right, let's go to 347. 347. You're on with us.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, now. Let's take the case that happened, I think it was in Australia, where the Jehovah's Witnesses were denied the $5 million annual because they don't qualify. The government considers it a human rights violation not to allow somebody to leave your religion. For instance, you're a Catholic, you want to become a Protestant. Or you're a Protestant, you want to become a Catholic. You shouldn't be persecuted for it. In the event that you do, any denomination that does not qualify for the free government money. And that's the reason why Watchtower was denied. And the gentleman who just spoke about saying that, you have a right to believe what you want. No. Religions can violate the human rights of another human being. It's called religious trauma. And this is why they didn't qualify for the money. This was why they were denied. And they go on the air and say that the reason why they were denied was because their religious beliefs, their religious convictions. That's not true. It's a bunch of crap.
I'm with you, caller. Well, thank you for chiming in. Appreciate it. Always good to hear from you. Thank you. Don't be a stranger. Come back and see you soon. Okay. Thank you. All righty. Let's go. Go ahead, Mike. You get the last word. Keep it.
Just a real quick comment.
Make it quick.
Well, it's just on this religious freedom, though. I just wanted to make this quick point. You can look this up if you don't believe me. In the state of West Virginia, snake handling is legal. You know how they have snake handling churches? It's the only state in the union where it's illegal.
Yeah.
You can look this up if you don't believe me. That's pretty dangerous.
All right. Yeah, well, listen, we got to move on. In fact, let's move on. We have more to talk about tonight, so stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Hey, you guys know what's going on tomorrow, right? Super Bowl. My goodness gracious, that's a big event, and boy, they're really big, making them big time. So I got a little video I want to play, and I'm sure you all heard by now, 1,000 Jehovah's Witness carts are going to be at the Super Bowl. Did you know that? I believe it's 1,000 carts, maybe just 1,000. We'll see by the video. Let me go back. Let's play the video. I want to share this video with you. But at least 1,000 Jehovah's Witnesses are going to be at the Super Bowl tomorrow. Let's play it. Let's share it. You'll hear it if you're on a radio network. You'll see it if you're on YouTube and Facebook. Let's share it right now. Let's play the video. Hold on one second. We just got to skip all ads here. Skip all ads, please. You know, they put ads on. They make money with that. Let's go to this. Well, let's see. Why did that happen? My goodness, I just had it right here. And we wanted to play the video, and now it's not playing. Isn't that crazy, huh? All right, go ahead. Play the video, please. Huh. This is crazy. Oh, it's going to end in 27 seconds, so just bear with us. But the Super Bowl, all of a sudden, the witnesses are showing up at all these major events. You're looking at ads right now. I'm sharing it, but let this go through, and then you'll be able to at least hear what goes on. 13 seconds, it's saying, and it'll play. But I want you to hear what the newscasters said out there in Las Vegas about the witnesses showing up. They're showing up at all these big events. So let's see what happens. They're going to play in 1 second. Okay, here we go. All right, skip ad. All right.
Of course, is the
There we go. Hold on 1
sporting
second.
event of the year, but it's proven to be more than just that.
Hold on 1
The big
second.
game brings
Let me
people
get this set up for us for a second so we'll be able to hear it nice and loud. Let me make sure. Okay, just going to plug my microphone, my speakers on here. Just give me a second so you'll be able to hear it. A few little technical snafus, but let's play this now. The big game tomorrow. And of course, the witnesses are going to be there. They're going to be looking for people to come in and take a magazine while they're walking to the Super Bowl.
From all over the world to a new city every year, and creates an opportunity for different organizations to get out into the community. Fox 5's Kim Passoff is also live tonight outside Allegiant with how one group is reaching out to a larger Super Bowl crowd. Kim.
Yeah, well, hundreds of thousands of football fans are coming to town for this Super Bowl. Thousands of other people are coming to reach out to those fans, like 6,000 members of the media that are credentialed for this event, as well as people who are all around Allegiant Stadium, up and down the strip this week, and at the welcome sign. 1,000 Jehovah's Witnesses taking their message to the streets. Standing next to what looks like lit-up magazine racks, Michael Federico and his wife, Tanya, spend hours on the strip. Tonight, just north of the Bellagio fountains, just after a rainstorm moved through.
We're pretty excited. We have a large group of volunteers. It's been our largest group of volunteers yet.
We wanted to really make a special effort of being able to share our message of hope and positivity.
Since pandemic restrictions lifted in 2022, Jehovah's Witnesses have had a small team of volunteers with these Bible carts on the strip. The Federicos are usually here once or twice a week. But this week, with so many fans in town, they are part of a team of 1,000 volunteers working at 50 different locations to greet them.
We get to meet people from all over the world, and they come and they chat with us, say hi to us, express their appreciation for what we're doing.
And that just warms our heart, makes us feel like what we're doing is really worth the effort.
They talk to visitors coming and going from daily Super Bowl events. The volunteers are here for 12 straight hours, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., volunteering their time, telling people about what they do and why they do it.
We're not going to chase them down. We're not going to try to force it down their throats, but let them just come on their own.
We get to express our love for our fellow man.
This is their Super Bowl II, a chance to reach out to an unprecedented number of people as the biggest game in American sports takes over Las Vegas. And there are volunteers trained in sign language, as well as volunteers who speak Spanish, Tagalog, and French. You can expect to see them past the Super Bowl and into next week, all throughout Las Vegas. Reporting live tonight outside of Allegiant, Kim Passoff, Fox 5 News, local.
Well, we'll stop that. Do you believe that? I mean, can you really believe that? Friends, that's nothing more than a paid commercial by the Watchtower. I mean, seriously. Well, why else would a local news channel, why would a local news channel put, a piece up about the Jehovah's Witnesses at the Super Bowl? I mean, there's bigger fish to fry than that. So that had to be paid by the PR department at the Watchtower. I just don't see that a news station would pick that up. I mean, then I got thinking too. So you're having all of these big events. The Super Bowl is one of the biggest sporting events in the whole world. Now you have the witnesses, going to be 1,000 Jehovah's Witnesses, according to the news, Fox News in that area. So I'm just thinking, is a Jehovah's Witness, I mean, are they expecting people to stop and talk to them and take their literature when people are walking, to the Super Bowl? I mean, come on, we have to be real with this. How stupid. I mean, nobody's going to stop and care about the Jehovah's Witnesses and the doomsday message at the Super Bowl. Then think about it. There's other things they're going to be doing, but 1,000 witnesses. I'm going to say that, in fact, I'm going to say that nobody's going to stop and talk to them. What do you think, Chicago? Go ahead.
Well, this really smacks of desperation, to be quite honest. And yet, nobody's going to stop. This is about the worst thing they can do. They are so desperate to do anything. This just lets you know that they really are falling apart. And I was also thinking the opposite of this. I'm sure that they presented this like such a wonderful thing. It's a blessing. You can be one of the ones that goes out there and stands for 3 hours or whatever it is outside of that facility and harass people as they're going to the Super Bowl. And just, what a boring life you would have to have for everybody else. Thousands of people travel from all over the world to see this game, and you're on the outside trying to hawk, Watchtower. What are you going to do?
Well, Stephen, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for your comments. 978, what do you have to say, 978? Go ahead, you're on with us. 978, you're on with us. Go ahead. 978, that's my area code. I'm not sure who this person would be.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, 978. Go ahead, 978. Yep.
Hi. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. My sister is a Jehovah's Witness, and so, like, as far as what you're talking about, like the Jehovah's Witnesses being at the Super Bowl, I've never, ever, ever seen anything like that. So I think that it does sound desperate and paid for and just, I don't know, way out there. But like, yeah, my sister's been a Jehovah's Witness for like 30 years, and I'm not. And my brother isn't, and like she's in her 60s now, and I'm in my 50s, and now my dad died on her birthday when she was like 21, something like that. And I think that made it a lot easier for her to sort of just, give up holidays and stuff like that. But like, obviously that's not the only thing, but like, it's just, when I listen to, you guys like talk about like just being totally like controlled, like Watchtower does the thinking for you. You kind of give over your like, or did give over your conscience, your right to think, and it helps me to like understand how she can be this way, and like because it's always been like for like probably a good 25 years, it's always been like I'm not good enough, like I can't come to the same conclusion that she does because I don't get it. Like I'm not able to understand because I don't have that mind. Like I don't have a good enough understanding of it or God or something. But now that I'm older, I know better, so it's like,
well, you're starting to see, you're starting to see through it. What's your name? Can I ask your name? You don't have to give us your real name.
Yes, no. It's Deborah. I don't mind.
Now, Deborah, I see you calling in from 978. That's the area code that I'm in. You don't have to say where you live. Do you live around here?
Yeah.
You do?
I do. I live in Billerica. I don't mind saying.
Oh, you live in Billerica. All right. I know Billerica. It's the next town over. I live in Duxbury. Yeah. All right. Well, Deborah, I listen, we sympathize with you. It's going to be very difficult. I wish I had some more time to listen to your whole story, but, I would like to have you tell us more. I'm kind of pressed for time tonight. We have a guest coming on at 8:30, but we're sad to hear that your sister's in it, but you just hang in there because I think pretty soon, Deborah, I really believe pretty soon your sister might be exiting. A lot of people are leaving right now. The Watchtower is really creating a lot of problems. So you just stand by and you might be surprised here in the next year or so. Seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in.
I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for calling in, Deborah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Deborah. All right, let's go to, let's go to 714. Michael, hold on. We have a number of people calling in. Let's give them a chance. 714, go ahead.
Hi, Rick. It's Nadine from California.
Yes, Nadine.
Hi. I was going to say, if I lived in Las Vegas and I was a Jehovah's Witness, I would volunteer in a hot minute to go down to the Super Bowl and stand there with the carts. It probably is a lot more exciting than having to go to the meeting. And since the Super Bowl is on Sunday, and say your meeting is like whatever, between 1 and 3 or whatever, I wouldn't have to go. I could go down to the Super Bowl. I could go down there. It would be an excuse not to go to the meeting. So I would jump on that in a second.
Well, Nadine, I get your drift. I see what you're saying here. Well, thank you, Nadine.
Yeah.
Hey, it's always good to hear.
I want to go with the good-looking brother with the brand new beard on his face.
Well, you like that brother. You've been talking about that brother here for the last few weeks. I think you like him,
Right. I probably want to go with brother good-looking with the brand new beard. And hey, let's go down to the Super Bowl. It's better than being at the meeting. I can tell you that.
Well,
that's
I'm with
what
you.
I would do.
I know everyone on this program agrees with you, Nadine. Listen, Nadine, you're
I'm
one.
just giving a little comic relief for you.
Well, thank you. I like that. Really, thank you very much. Thank you, Nadine. Let's go to it looks like a 7. I'm sorry. Who's this? Go ahead.
It's Kim.
Oh, Kim. Yeah. Hi, Kim.
Hi. I have something really short I have to say. I went to Walmart on Thursday to pick up my medication, and I went into this former JW. He's been in this fellowship for about over 20 years now, and he was telling me that he's thinking about going back. And I told him, "Don't you dare! Don't you think about it?"
Good.
Oh my God! I stood there and I talked to him. We had a conversation about. I said, "Don't you think this organization is twisting the scriptures? Trying to fit their agendas? They keep changing their teachings over and over. And it just doesn't make any sense. Come on."
Good for you, Kim. Talk some sense into this man. Talk some sense into this man.
Exactly.
He's losing his mind. He's losing his mind. Well, thank you, Kim. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate it. Thank you, Kim.
But I had to get my medication, and the pharmacy was about to close, so I couldn't stay long. But what I should do this go ahead, Jim. I can tell you that.
All right. Well, good girl. Thank you for calling into the Six Queens tonight, Kim. Thank you. Hey, we have to go to 540. 540. You're on with us. Go ahead.
I've been rolling this Super Bowl thing around. I think Nadine has a good point. The witnesses want to go so they don't have to go to the meeting. I guess that would be a hot witness date. Stand outside a major event that you don't attend. But I'm thinking of that reporter, and it must have been a play story, because if I was on that beat, I would have looked at that brother and said, exactly what, sir, do you hope to accomplish by standing here? Maybe they're keeping the fancy ladies away, or maybe the homeless people from that space. Maybe having the witnesses there keeps that space, like cleaner or something. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of even a sickening. I mean, you can tell it's all made up. You can tell that broadcast was a paid for commercial. No station's gonna give the witnesses that amount of time. They're not.
Well, we used to do religion stories, but that reporter didn't ask the real question. Why are you here?
Well,
enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow, and let's all see if there's any, mysterious ritualized symbols there at halftime. Have a good fun.
Well, thank you, Pixie. Always good to hear from Pixie. Go ahead. We have looks like Chicagoland. 630. You're on with us. Go ahead, 630.
Hey, Brother Rick. I called before. I listen to your program all the time, but the Super Bowl thing, that's actually kind of crazy. If I was actually like a volunteer, I know I would probably tell one of the brothers I'm going to the bathroom, go and enjoy the game, come back 6 hours later. How'd they know?
Yeah. It's all crazy. We're seeing stuff here that we never would have thought of years ago. The witnesses are really going all out to try to recruit as many people into the cult as they possibly can. Well, thank you, Chicago. Thank you. Let's go on to 718. Go ahead, 718. You're on with us.
Hey, Rick. I was just wondering, you said 1,000 witnesses in Las Vegas are going to turn out. I have several questions about that. Number one, are people coming in from other areas to Las Vegas? And number two, they don't have to count their time anymore. That's correct. So what's the big draw? Because, they don't have to count their time. Why are they all running there? Maybe like the other sister said, just to get out of the meeting or something, because what's the big draw? It used to be when I was growing up, I'm sure you remember too, brothers, you got to get your time in, whatever. So what's the big draw? What's drawing them to do this?
Yeah, well, no, that's a good point, Shirley. I really appreciate you coming in tonight, too. I know the suite has been down here for the last 3 weeks. There's been some technical issues. We're working on that. We'll see what happens with it. But no, in fact, what you're saying here is sensible to me. Where are all these people going to come from? You got 1,000 Jehovah's Witnesses, so it must be from the circuit. The circuit would have that many. So probably, the circuit around Las Vegas would be there. But that's a lot of people. Would you have done that if you were still a witness, Shirley?
Not at all. But I'm saying, what is the draw? They don't have to count their time. What is the draw? Because even here in New York, I've noticed, in the subway stations, after during the pandemic, of course, they weren't in the subway stations like they used to. But these last couple of months, I'm going to say, it's been picking up. I'm seeing the carts in the subways again. But they don't have to count their time. So what do they?
They have done away with counting time, and we have a man coming on here at 8:30. He's got the most plausible reason I think yet for them stopping. He's going to share that tonight with us. But anyways, I just wanted to say that they still have to. They don't have to give the hours, but what they do is they check a box. They say, have you spoken to anybody about the Jehovah's Witness message, or have you participated in the cart work? So you have to check a little box. It's not like hours like it used to, but still somebody's watching, and they want to make sure you're doing something. But I'll tell you what, they're doing everything they possibly can to try to get more people in this cult. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't understand. What's the like? I didn't know they had to check off a box, but then it doesn't have for an hour or 2 hours. But still, I just don't get it. I don't understand what the attraction is. Their mind is cult. I know it's cult-like thinking, but since the hours, I remember when I was growing up, my mother would get the call from the guy, whatever he was called, had to keep account of the publisher's time. I remember those calls like every month or something. My mother had to, hold on and get together her little notes on that little sheet, whatever it was. But now that's something of the past. So I don't get it. Why they're all back out,
Well, I'm glad to hear I'm glad to hear from you tonight, Shirley. Thank you very much. Go ahead. Who was that on there? Go ahead.
This is Fran. Hi, Rick.
Oh, hi,
How are
Fran.
you?
I'm doing good tonight. Thank you, Fran.
Good, good. The end Joe's here too.
Hello,
Hi,
great
Joe.
show, Rick.
Hello,
Great
Joe.
show.
Hello.
So the pioneers still have to count their time. They have to get 50 hours a month. So they're probably all pioneers that are out there at the Super Bowl.
Pioneers have to get 50 hours, you said?
Yeah, 50 hours a month. It used to be
I thought it was
70.
dropped to 10. No, wait. Remember back in the day, you got dropped so low to 10 hours? I thought it was down to 10 hours or something.
Not the pioneers. No, the pioneers are 50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and this is another number point. You wonder if any of the attendees to the game are going to remind the witnesses how much they had to pay for a ticket,
Yeah.
and why should they should waste any time talking to them.
Well, Joe, that's a good point. And I can remember, and you guys too. You've been around like I have for many years with the Watchtower, and I can remember them discouraging participation in sports. Really, I remember.
yeah.
I remember them even saying that, if you go to these games and you're really like a fanatical sports fan, that's like idol worship. Now here we see JW hypocrisy on display, and we see it here, right here. And I'm just thinking that who is going, like Joe says, who's going to stop? You probably spent $500 for a seat. I mean, that's a cheap seat. You probably spent like $3,000 for a seat, and you're going to stop and talk to a Jehovah's Witness about the doomsday message? It's not going to happen. And then you know what they're going to do? They have 1,000 witnesses. So now you're going to have all these urban legends coming out of the Super Bowl. You'll probably hear about Taylor Swift, stopping and taking a book, and now she's studying with the witnesses. We'll probably be hearing that too. So this is all crazy. Well, thank you, Fran. Thank you, Fran and Joe. Right. Always good to hear from you guys. And listen, you guys, why don't you give a plug for your show while you're on here with us,
Oh, okay. Well, in case anyone doesn't know, we're on Wednesday evening. We're on Fixing My Faith, 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's a call-in program, just like you have, Rick. And it's been going for 4 hours because people are calling in. So we go like sometimes from 7 to 11, and then we say, we need a break.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see what it's like. But no, you guys we miss you, and we love you guys, and we pray that you'll continue to move forward. All of us together, Vern and you guys, and all of us together. We're all. I give a shout out to all the people that are exposing the Watchtower. It's
absolutely
it's making a difference, and thank you for your work. We really do. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us our first try.
Well,
we were successful. We really appreciate it.
Oh no, it was a good little start and worked out good. But thank you for calling in tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, say hi to Susan. We love you guys.
I love you too. Now here we go. Now we have looks like 978. I think that's Richard Boogie.
Good evening, Rick. I think I'll start dating tomorrow morning. But anyway, I just want to mention that the number one place that sex trafficking takes place in is the Super Bowl. Your pedophiles are all over the place. So the Cotworks should feel very, very comfortable where they're at. Thank you.
All right. Hey, no, that's right. I agree with you. I mean, that is really a cesspool. Really, I'm not picking on Super Bowl fans, but there's some pretty sly people that show up there, I'm sure. Hey, do you remember an article years ago? In the Watchtower that was actually saying that having an interest in football, I mean, if you really got really super interested in football, it would be equated to gladiator events in the first century. I mean, that's what they did. There was an article in the Watchtower. So just a little hint here. Should the Watchtower, the Jehovah's Witnesses, should they be putting carts up at the Super Bowl? I mean, these guys are the ultimate hypocrites. I'm also thinking, FanDuel and all these people who bet on the games. A lot of people now they bet right on the games through the internet. FanDuel is one of the betting platforms. So I'm wondering if anybody's placing bets on FanDuel about how many people will be converted at the Super Bowl by Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, I'd love to make a bet. 0. No one's going to be converted. You'd win that bet. There's going to be nobody out. I'm going to go on the record. Nobody is going to be converted to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses at the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That would be like saying the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl next year. It's not going to happen. All right. So anyways, if you have a thought with us, let's go back to 718. Looks like I believe it's New York City. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just typing something into somebody else. I was just saying, I just don't believe it. Like, it's just, the hypocrisy, like I think the Borges said, it's a Super Bowl. It's the major game. Who wants to hear about religion? Any religion, be it Catholicism, we're giving out free rosaries. I mean, it's the Super Bowl, the main event. Who wants to hear about religion at that time? I don't get it. So once again, I think it's something like the sister said earlier, just to maybe get out and go into the meeting. Because regardless of the religion, nobody's in a religious mood for football. And like you said, I remember back in the day, we had a circuit overseer who even said that witnesses shouldn't even watch football. I remember that because my father was a fanatic. And I remember we had a circuit overseer who said point blank, witnesses really shouldn't even be watching football. So like you said, the hypocrisy.
Well, there you go. There you go, Shirley. But, I'll tell you, that's exactly right. I mean, they used to, but I'll tell you, the Super Bowl, it's really probably the only event that the witnesses celebrate. I mean, when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, they had a big Super Bowl party every time the Super Bowl came around. All the witnesses got together and they would drink and chicken wings and Doritos and all that. And it was big. I mean, they really made it a big time. It's the only event of the year. Everything else is pagan. Everything else can't be celebrated. But the Super Bowl, they make a big deal out of it,
I didn't know that. I mean, maybe they did it in my area too. I have no idea because I'm not a sports, fan at all. But maybe they did that too. But like back in the day, like I said, the circuit overseer who said witnesses shouldn't really watch. So I'm sure he's not the only one that said that or hinted it. But like, look at it now. Like you said, now they're having Super Bowl parties. So look at the hypocrisy.
Oh, I'll tell you right now, there's going to be people who miss the meeting tomorrow to get ready for the Super Bowl. I mean it. This is a big event. Thank you, Shirley. Got another caller coming in. Go ahead. You're on with us.
Hey, Rick. It's Miguel. I hope you remember me.
Of course I remember you, Miguel. How can I forget you? Go ahead, Miguel.
I hope you're doing all right. Hope everybody was doing all right. Just wanted to share that I'm from South America, right? I'm from Peru. I have nothing to do with the Super Bowl or anything like that. But I found a very interesting coincidence, and this that the Jehovah's Witnesses are very active on big, massive events. I don't know if you will be aware, but back in 2019, there was a massive event, and it was the Catholic World Youth Day in Panama in 2019. It was huge, just like the Super Bowl. People coming from all the neighboring countries, like thousands and thousands of people gathering in a coliseum. And I happened to be there because of work. I happened to be there in Panama around that time. And guess what happens? You actually had almost exactly the same number, 1,000 Jehovah's Witnesses on the same coliseum where World Youth Day was happening. This is a very interesting coincidence. And I don't know what is going on, but also like other people said, the Super Bowl is connected to very dark stuff. As we know, the Catholic Church is also connected to very dark stuff. But I don't think that's a coincidence. And I don't think it's a matter of converting anybody. I think more is like a matter of showing a political muscle or some sort of indoctrination muscle to show you, hey, we are here, and the guys that you can see are fully indoctrinated, and we can tell them to do whatever you want us to tell them to do. So I think that it's going that way, don't you think, Rick? What do you think?
Well, no, it definitely is. They're trying to find what they're doing is they're hemorrhaging. In the next news article I have, and we're going to talk about that a little bit before we move on. But what's happening? They're trying to recruit as many people as they can. They're just mass advertising. That's all this is. When those witnesses go out, it's like, hopefully we can find somebody. So that's what they're doing. And they're showing up at these big events. And if I was a witness, still a witness, I'd be scratching my head. I'd say, what are we doing? What's that have to do with the Bible? Where does the Bible speak about the Super Bowl? I mean, if they're supposedly Christians, what are they doing at the Super Bowl, really, and making a big deal out of it? Well, Miguel, thank you.
No worries. I just wanted to go and say, what does the Watchtower have to do with the Catholic Church? I happened to be in Panama. I went to the airport. They were at the airport. And as they were greeting people for the Catholic event, the JWs were also there, all the way down to the Coliseum. And they were also the Coliseum where they were doing the World Youth Day. It's such a big coincidence. It cannot be just. It seems to be like programming. It seems to be like they are sending a message. But that's as far as I can go, Rick. It's nice.
Well, Miguel, you're a good man. Don't you ever change. You just keep staying Miguel. We love you, buddy. Thank you. All right. Let's go to JP. JP, you're on with us.
Hi, Rick. You can hear me okay?
Oh, we can hear you good. Yep.
Yeah, I was just looking it up. The average Super Bowl ticket is over $8,000 per ticket.
Wow.
So I think you're saying around 500. I think if they paid about 500, they'd probably get a seat next to the cart. But
yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, get a seat next to the cart. You're right.
One thing I picked up, though, that on the news report, it said they're going to be there for 12 hours from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And there's going to be 1,000 volunteers. So obviously, and they said it in 50 locations. So I think that they're probably going to do it in shifts, and they just want to boast that there's going to be 1,000 people there. But it's going to be, I would say, probably like about 4-hour shifts. That would average about 3 witnesses per cart in the 50 locations, because if there were 12 hours straight and there's 50 locations, there would be about 10 witnesses per cart. So that was a few things that I was noticing. But I think, yeah, like a lot of people are saying, when you pay that kind of money and stuff, nobody's going to want to go pay attention to, any kind of people doing any kind of cart work. I think a lot of them will probably be standing out there handing out the little business cards, telling them to go to the website. But I don't think there's any kind of anything that they're going to prosper out of this as far as like bringing in people. And another thing you were talking about was Super Bowl parties. And when I was a witness, that was something that I did look forward to. A lot of the friends, they would have a Super Bowl party usually after the meeting and stuff. But I remember there was also, at some points, because every year, our meeting time would change. Sometimes it would be in the morning, and then to go to the afternoon, and then to the evening. They would shift it around. So depending on the year, that would depend on when your meeting would land on that Super Bowl. And I remember sometimes, especially when I had the meetings in the morning, I remember sometimes some of the brothers in different congregations, they would show up to the early meeting because the Super Bowl was going to start. And I remember our midweek meeting was usually on a Tuesday, but I remember one Tuesday that they actually had like a local needs talk speaking about the Super Bowl, how there was a lot of brothers that leave, whether it's for the Super Bowl or for the NBA playoffs or other sporting events. They actually brought it up that, if you're a brother in a hall and that it's inappropriate to leave your meeting in that. And even though you're making up a meeting, you're going to another one, for them to do that. And it just looking at it now, it just shows so much of the control that even just to watch something like a Super Bowl, that they're going to give a local needs. But that's all I had to say, Rick.
Well, JP, it's always good to hear from you. It really, really is. Let's move on to 203. 203 is on with us. Go ahead, 203. Then we're going to go to, hold on one second. We're going 203. Then next it will be 862 after 203. 203, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Rick. It's Carol or Carrie or whatever you want to call me.
I'll call you Carrie. Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I miss the suite so much. First of all, before I forget, I wanted to say hello to my friends in there, Zachary, Shirley, Dallas, and John MM, and there's so many more. I really miss them. But anyways, I wanted to say that the organization and the witnesses, they're opportunists. And they're, with this here, it's pretty big. And they're going where the need is great. How about that? But, I think people won't ignore them 100%, but they're going to be busy trying to get to their seats. They're all excited. They're not going to want to stop and really converse with everybody. But they are opportunists. This is not the first time that they've landed in places that there was a big crowd.
Well, you're right. And as far as the suite, we are working. We had some technical difficulties with that company. I've always had trouble with them. I was with them for like 10 years, actually 11 years. But you stay tuned because it looks like we will be getting another suite up, a private suite for those that like to come in. But that'll be probably the next couple of weeks or so. So stay tuned to that. But in the meantime, people can come on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, what the sweetheart deal is, and the suite is that people feel very free to be able to, because there's aliases, and they're free to speak. Whereas on YouTube, they're not going to, and on Facebook, their names are there, and they're not going to speak. But that's that was the sweet thing about the suite.
Well, I've got
Anyways, we're looking forward to it to come back.
Well, I've got another suite I'm working on where people can actually talk right through their computer. They won't even. I mean, they can call in too. So I've been working with these people and trying to set that up where they can call in from the computer from anywhere in the world. So that's the new one I'm working on. But this suite we had before gave me a lot of trouble. But you'll be hearing more from us. We'll have our own private suite here again soon.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All righty. We did have another caller coming in. Did you want to come back, caller? I have to get.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so that 862. So who is this?
Yep. Hi, my name is Keisha. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I just wanted to say that just like the last caller said, the JWs are opportunists. They clearly they're doing this at the Super Bowl, but they also do this at the U.S. Open. I didn't know if you all knew, but the U.S. Open happens in Queens, New York in September, and they do the same thing. They have a cart campaign, and they have different JWs at the carts handing out tracts and business cards. And if you see any of them on social media, you can see them posting and bragging that they were at the U.S. Open. And those tickets are very expensive as well. Not as expensive as the Super Bowl, but you can still pay a couple $1,000s for a ticket to see the U.S. Open. So this is something that looks like it's part of their campaign strategy. They go to sporting events and have carts.
Well, that's good. Now, your name was Keisha, was it?
Yeah.
Well,
I've called before. I just haven't said my name before.
Well, thank you, Keisha. Thank you for calling in tonight. We always love to hear from you and others calling in. Thank you. We appreciate that little comment tonight. That gives us a little more insight. Seems like it's a campaign the witnesses are involved in. Go anywhere with his people. Try to recruit them,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, here we go. We've got more coming up here next. We got, yes, go ahead. You're on with us. Is that you, Jason?
Jason Zelda, huh?
All right,
That's me,
Jason,
my friend.
you hang on for about maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and don't you worry, we'll give you plenty of time here. but I just got one more story I'm going to discuss, and you just hang in, and then we're going to get to Jason Zelda. He's going to be on with us tonight. Jason Zelda, you know him from YouTube. The man has been incredible exposing the Jehovah's Witness organization. He's coming on tonight. He's going to share some things with us from his 500-page book on some of the scandals, some of the dirty dealings that take place in the Watchtower. Jason's coming up in about 5 to 10 minutes. Hang in with us, Jason, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I got one more thing I want to talk about, then we'll cut to Jason. I have to tell you, Jehovah's Witnesses are simply, I'm just going to put it as simple as I can here so you can understand it. They are a failing corporation. There's no question about it. The evidence that we have compiled in the Watchtower from 2023, 2024 now is just overwhelming. The Watchtower is currently in the throes of a death spiral. There's no question about it. Everything they attempt to do is landing up with more and more damage coming to the Watchtower. This is what happens when a system attempts total control, and that's what the Watchtower is doing. It is in damage control right now. They are fighting against the current. They are swimming upstream against the current. Now, here's one thing I'm going to share with you guys. Corporations must adapt or go out of business. The Jehovah's Witness organization is nothing more than a business, and they have to adapt or they go out of business. I mean, think of Kmart. Think of Sears. Think of Bed Bath & Beyond. Just recently, in the last few months, they filed for bankruptcy. So Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, they must change their business model, and they have to do it soon. I believe that they have people involved with them in crisis management and explaining to them what they have to do. This is a corporation that is falling out of business. They are dead. They just haven't fallen over yet. Now, I'm going to give you 5 stages, the 5 stages of a business collapse. And I can see this happening in the Watchtower right now. 5 stages. Stage 1, overconfidence. The first phase of a company's decline is overconfidence. Well, let's roll the clocks back to about, I'd say, 2011, 2012, 2013. Remember, they started coming out with Watchtower articles. Please, they weren't saying please, but they said, you're going to hear some things that don't sound logical, that don't sound coherent, but just go along with what the governing body says. That's what they said. Numerous articles about that. Even though it sounds strange from a human standpoint, just believe what they say. So that's overconfidence. So I started seeing this collapse starting around 2011. They became very overconfident. And then the second stage of collapse is overreaching. So they started the cart work. And that's kind of overreaching. We talked about it even tonight with the Super Bowl. So this cart work was, well, we got to go out now. We got to get more promotion. We got to get more people into this religion. And so they started overreaching too much. Stage 3, ignoring or misreading the signs. Yes, stage 3. COVID really opened up stage 3. They started, we'll go to Zoom and we'll try to get the witnesses to go to Zoom meetings because you can't meet in person. So they were misreading what was taking place. Many people on Zoom would just shut the cameras off and they go about their business, and the organization thought they were listening in. So, that is stage 3. We see this all happening in stages. Stage 4, overcorrecting. Yes, well, that's exactly what's been taking place in stage 4. They've been coming back. Now, they'll never admit a mistake. The Watchtower will never come out and say, sorry, folks, we made a mistake. They'll call it new light. They'll call an adjustment, but they will never say we made a mistake. And this has been happening. It happened with with the generation understanding. It happened with numerous situations in the Watchtower. They had to keep changing their position, and they kept overcorrecting. The same thing would take place as all of these countries started coming down. on the Watchtower. And they would approach the countries and say, no, we don't do this. This is how we handle it. You're accusing us of this. So they're overcorrecting themselves all the time. But now, friends, I'm glad to report to you, the Watchtower organization is in stage 5 of a business collapse. And you can look this up online. I'm not just blowing wind here. I'm telling you, the Watchtower is nothing more than a business, and they right now are in stage 5. And what do you do when change 5? You give up. The Watchtower, I think, folks, has been given up on their old model. They cannot continue with the old model of doing business. They have to change everything. And that's what we have seen here just in the last 6 months. We talk about no more reporting time. You can now have a beard. Now you can even leave the Watchtower, and don't worry, if you come back to Jehovah before the Great Tribulation ends, you'll be all right. You have during the Great Tribulation, you have all the time before Armageddon to come back. So we have all of these changes taking place in the Watchtower. They are in stage 5 that's the last stage. If they can't pull this off, if they can't pull this whole deal off, they're done. They're dead in the water. So just like these failing corporations I mentioned to you earlier, the leaders only take action. They're now taking, there's a lot of fighting going on in Watchtower. Don't you think there's not? You think the governing bodies are in unison with one another? They are not. I'm sure there's a lot of disunity. I mean, what about Tony Morris? Where is he? This is what also happens in stage 5. That the top brass start arguing, fighting with one another. This has been going on, and friends, it's been going on for a while. So all of this stuff is causing the collapse of the Watchtower, and that's something that we're taking notice of here on 6 screens. Well, I won't beat that story to death, but I do want to bring on our friend Jason Zelda. Jason, you on there with us?
Hello.
All right. All right. Well, Jason, thank you for coming on. I believe that most of the audience knows who you are. You've helped so many people see what really goes on behind the curtains of the Watchtower, Jason. Your YouTube videos are tremendous. You put a lot of work into it and a lot of time. And Jason, just give us a little rundown on Jason Zelda. We want to hear about Jason. Tell us about yourself, Jason.
Well, first of all, greetings, everybody. I want to say hello to everybody out there, and thank you for all y'all who have stuck with me for the last 2 years that I've been going through all the medical problems that I've had to endure. I still have at least one more surgery left to go through as I'm dealing with some prostate cancer right now. But basically, I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian since 1980. I do my best to try to defend my faith against any group, organization, or religion that calls itself.
Go ahead, Jason.
Witnesses and can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, come close to your phone. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a King James Bible believer, of course. I stick with the King James Bible. I've been a researcher into the cult since my teenage years. I'm a singer, songwriter, Bible teacher, and now author of this new ebook called The Whistleblower's Lighthouse. While I've been going through all these medical things, I've also been taking the time to work on the interactive ebook in order to help out the XJW community. And I want to take the time right now to thank a few people who helped with the book. First of all, Elaine, you know her as JW Escape. She's the one who inspired me to write the book in the first place, because she told me about how her has been shunning her for over 30 years, and that there's members of her family that don't even know her because she's been out for so long. And it really broke my heart to hear that would happen to her, because I've had the honor of meeting her in person over a year ago and talking to her for probably about an hour and a half. And she's truly a very wonderful lady, a great-hearted lady. And her story really motivated me to put together this interactive ebook in order to help people. I want to thank Chris Deanne as well, one of the premier exposers of the Watchtower, whistleblower out there on YouTube as well, and Jeff of the Watchtower History channel on YouTube. I want to thank him as well for helping me to get a hold of some documentation I had trouble finding. He was able to get a hold of it, up also in the ebook. And I try to do my best to answer people's questions when they're in trouble for a long time. And if people have hard questions about the Bible or don't understand some Bible stories and so forth, I can try to help out with that. So I put together a more than 100-page PDF, and it's interactive. So it has audio, it has video, it has web and things like that to give you more information. So if you ever try to reach your Jehovah's Witness friends, your Jehovah's Witness family, people on the street, people on the job who happen to be Jehovah's Witnesses, and you couldn't figure out what to talk about or what questions to ask, this interactive ebook is a strong sword to use in this battle to reach them, to break through the mind control. And since I've never been a Jehovah's Witness, I can give people perspective on this issue that somebody who's been in it is not going to have, because I don't have with me all the baggage that comes from somebody who's been in that mind control cult and then comes out. I can actually see the image clearly and show people different ways of reaching Jehovah's Witnesses. So in the book, I cover a whole bunch of things like their claims about their Bible version, blood transfusions, child sexual abuse and cover-up, shunning, the cross of the stake, Armageddon, the spirit mediums, the pyramids, the cult test, tons of questions to ask, crimes done by Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower stocks, a whole bunch of things, how to sue the Watchtower and win, how to win child custody cases against the Jehovah's Witnesses. And by the grace of the Lord, a few years ago, I went up to Indiana to help a lady who was involved in a child custody case against the Jehovah's Witnesses, and she actually won the case. Oh, this works. And I put all this in the ebook and more. So I'm hoping this really help out those who are trying to reach your friend, trying to reach your family who are trapped in this cult. This ebook, by the way, is located at my site. It's www.jasonzelda.xyz. www.jasonzelda.xyz. And it is reasonable because what I've done is I set up the website in a way that you can pay whatever you want, over $2. So if you want to pay $3, you'll get the book, the 500+ page book for $3. If you want to pay $10, you can get it for $10. Whatever you think it's worth. If you want to pay $100, you can pay $100. Whatever you think it's worth, you just pay whatever you want, and the ebook is yours. And all I ask is that you use it to win people over and get them out of this cult.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense, Jason, really. And that's a great way to present a book. Over 500 pages. Now, I just want to kind of let the audience know you a little bit. I'm going to play a little portion of your video here concerning hidden from Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to play a little bit of it. So people will say, okay, that's Jason. Okay, so hold on. Let's play that right now. Let's share it. Let me put it into, okay, I'll mute it. Let's play a little bit of it right now so you get an idea. I'm sure you saw Jason here.
If you are a Jehovah's Witness, a baptized Jehovah's Witness, these men demand absolute loyalty to them. Now, they'll say it's loyalty to Jehovah. But when a person is in the Jehovah's Witness group, they begin to blend those terms together. Jehovah and the organization, Jehovah and the organization, Jehovah, the organization, Jehovah's organization, Jehovah's, and it becomes Jehovah's organization. The one becomes the same. The one becomes the other. They feel the one can't function without the other. They believe that loyalty to God equals loyalty to these guys. They believe that loyalty to these men equal loyalty to God, or as they say, to Jehovah. That's how the group works. The leadership of this group goes by a whole bunch of different names. Here's some of the names that they go by. They're called the Anointed Brothers, the organization, the branch, God's organization, Jehovah's organization, God's channel of communication, the slave, Jehovah's channel, headquarters, the Guardians of the Doctrine. That's a name that they gave themselves at the Australian Royal Commission on Child Sexual Abuse. They call themselves the Guardians of the Doctrine. They're called the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York. They're called the Society. They're called the Faithful and Discreet Slave. All of these titles for these guys. All of these titles.
Well, we'll stop right there, Jason, so people get an idea who Jason is. Well, Jason, I'm so pleased to have you come on our program tonight. And, I'm impressed with you. You never were one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but nonetheless, let me just see if I get this back on straight here for us again. Hold on 1 second. Just give me 1 second. We'll remove Jason. Okay. All right. So, anyways, Jason, I did want to let people know who you were, and I'm glad you gave a little bio. But, anyways, one of the thoughts I have is you never were one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and this is this is very stunning and very and it got me very connected to you because there's so many people. You would be considered not an apostate, but you would be an opposer. According to the Watchtower, you oppose them. Now, it fascinates me that there's so many people that want to talk about the witnesses. We've had so many people even come on this program that never were witnesses like yourself, but they want to expose them. And that really shows a real desire to expose an organization that's hurt so many people, and you're willing to do that on your own time, on your own money, so to speak, too. But I know that people, many of us, I try to reach the Jehovah's Witnesses, and you find yourself frustrated. There's no question about it. I've got relatives that are still in the Watchtower. There's many people listening to this program tonight. They have friends, they have relatives, sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, and they can't reach them. And you find yourself very, very frustrated in not being able to get a hold of them. They won't even listen to you. So you've got this interactive book that is designed to help reach them. Now, I know many people have attempted that. I've talked to other authors that we've had on the program here before. Wilbur Lingual was one of them, and he wrote a book, How to Witness to a Jehovah's Witness. And, it was fine. He did well with that book, but it really wasn't the book that people were looking for. So I'm really thinking the 500-page book you have, that might be the secret bullet. That might be the magic bullet. It really might be. Now, many times when we try to reach our witness relatives, and we even bring the facts to them, we bring them all the facts that are necessary, and yet they just look at us like we have a hole in our head. So the Whistleblower's Lighthouse, it contains, like you were saying earlier, it contains text, audio, video, and web links. So it's kind of like an interactive book, and you'll be able to hit these links and learn as much as you possibly can. I think it's amazing that you've taken the time to write. How long did it take you to write the book, Jason?
It took about a year. There's just a lot of information that I have. I have actual documentation in the book, in the ebook. A lot of work went into this, and I had to do it all by myself as well. So it was a lot of work, programs that I had to learn, computer programs I had to learn, and things like that. A lot went into it. But I'm hoping that the end result is that it will be very effective in helping the community. And I wanted to keep it at a level where anybody could afford it. Because when I had advertised, mentioned it before, and I said, I'm going to sell it for $15, people were telling me to sell it for $45 or $50. I said, no, I originally said $15. And then I stopped and thought about it. I said, no, that's way too much. I'll just let people pay whatever they want to pay for it. If somebody can afford $3, they can get it for $3. If somebody want to pay more, they can do that. And my bottom line is just please use it. Make it worth my while that I took this long to try to put this together for you guys. Go out there and use this ebook to try to reach this, because reach the members out there, because they're out there now at the Super Bowl. Okay. Somebody called up earlier and said they were at the U.S. Open, but you don't know anything about the Watchtower's numbers growing. So they're showing up at all these big events, but their numbers aren't growing. And if somebody does decide to join, the moment they find out about all the strict rules and how they're not going to be able to do this, and they're not going to be able to do that, and they're not going to be able to watch this, and they can't watch that, well, forget this. We don't want to be part of this. They're not going to want to be part of this. And we want to do our part to try to stop people from jumping into the spider's web and getting caught. Here's what I would recommend, too, for my whistleblower friends out there, the XJW. The Watchtower, just like you said, it was a paid advertisement by these news media organizations to promote the Watchtower. And they're doing this all over the country. They have enough money that if they shove enough money in the faces of these local, and it's always these local news agencies that they're going to and advertising them. What I would recommend is this. The whistleblower should call up these news agencies and say, hey, you had the Jehovah's Witnesses on. You promoted them for at least a minute, 2 minutes. You gave them all minutes of free advertising. We want to tell you the side of the group they're not going to tell you about. And as former men, you guys have the standing to do it. Imagine what would happen at that news channel if 50, 70, 100, 200, 500 XJW started calling, saying, hey guys, you had the Jehovah's Witnesses, you advertised for them on your program. You need to know what this group's been up to. You need to know about the child molestation and the cover-up. You need to know about all the things that's been going on. They would have to give you equal time if they're a real news agency. And this whole thing that they're trying to do to promote themselves can totally backfire on them. You have to know how to play the game, guys.
Well, Jason, I always like the way you talk. You really speak with conviction. If ever I met a man that spoke with conviction, I mean, you really do that. Now, you would have been, I told you this before, you would have been a good prosecuting attorney. There's no question in my mind that you're calling. You would have been very, very successful. So what I want you to do now, you wrote a book, 500 pages, all about the Watchtower and how wrong they are. Now, I want you to play the part as the prosecuting attorney tonight, and I want you just, go through the depths of your mind and all of the information that you gathered in the last year about the Jehovah's Witnesses. I want you, how are you going to prosecute the witnesses tonight? Well, what would you tell the jury tonight on how evil and how scandalous this organization is? What would you say, Jason?
Well, first of all, it's kind of on the spot a little bit, but I'll see what I can come up with because it doesn't take very much. I take the perspective of this. I'm a Christian. You have an organization here that claims to be Christian, teaching Christianity. They're teaching the opposite. Everything that we believe, Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to believe the opposite. We told that Jesus is God. They say he's not. We told there's a Trinity. They say there's not. We say there's a hell. They say there's not. We teach Jesus died on the cross. They say he didn't. We teach that all Christians go to heaven. They say not all Christians go to heaven. We teach that this earth is going to be destroyed one day and God's going to bring a new heaven and a new earth. They say, no. We're going to inhabit this earth and turn it into a paradise. Everything we teach as a Christian, they teach the opposite. So things that are different are not the same. They can't be Christian if they're not teaching the fundamentals of the faith. And the King James Bible tells us, earnestly contend for the faith that was given the saints. Earnestly contend, that's a wrestling term. You wrestle to keep the faith because there are going to be those who are going to try to wrestle the faith away from people. And that's all that I do. For this organization, people have a right to worship what they want to worship. I'm not going to twist somebody's arm and try to force them to become a Christian. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here on the sidelines and allow an organization that claims to be Christian while destroying people's lives and calling themselves Christian. I'm not going to put up with that. At every opportunity I have to speak up against it, I'm going to try to speak up against it and try to point them to the real Jesus. They're presenting the world with a counterfeit. Show them the real thing and give them a choice. Do you want the counterfeit? Do you want the real thing? Jesus said, I came that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. You don't have life in the Watchtower. Your life is boring. Your life is filled with work. And I tell people, it's like running a marathon. You join the Jehovah's Witnesses, they put you in this marathon and they tell you, run. And you run, and you run, and you're looking for the finish line. They never told you where the finish line was. You're just running around. And you hope maybe it's around this corner. And you go around the corner and it's not there. And maybe it's around this corner. And maybe it's around this corner. And next thing you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life is gone. And you're still looking around corners, looking for Armageddon, and it ain't there. And they wasted your life. And all the while, they got rich off of your running. They wasted your life. All the gifts and talents Jesus gave you, you weren't able to use them. They told you, don't use them in this world. You'll use them in the new world. They wasted your life. They cost you your life. And at the end, they cost you your soul. The one thing that Jesus said, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. How you come to Jesus? You pray and say, Lord Jesus, please forgive me my sins. You bow the knee to Jesus Christ and ask him to forgive you your sins. Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to bow their knee to Jesus because they say he's a created being.
Hey, Jason, we're gonna move on from this. We're gonna save some of the Bible stuff for our Sunday program, if you don't mind. We're gonna do that. I want to discuss some other subjects with you today. I think it's very important we do that. So let's go into the. I want you now. Jason's going to come on in 2 weeks on our Sunday program. We're going to get into theological teachings, the Christian side of it all. But tonight we're just going to stay with some of the stuff that we now. Jason has written a book here, 500-page book, Whistleblowers Owners Lighthouse. So, anyways, he wrote this book all about the Watchtower, how evil they are, and how they're not Christian. He just mentioned they're counterfeit Christians. I believe the same thing. But in the book, he also talks about the Watchtower stocks, the stocks that they own. He talks about the occult history. He talks about crimes committed by Jehovah's Witnesses, child custody cases. This idea of crimes committed by Jehovah's Witnesses, Jason, that got my attention. What would you say about that?
Well, what we have is they try to present their religion as being different than all the others. But when you look at it from the bottom line, their religion is no different than the others. Human beings are human beings. We're all flawed and we're all messed up. We all sin. The problem is they try to present their religion as being above everybody else, as being superior to everybody else, while at the same time their leadership is lying to them about what the Bible says, what it teaches, and the whole 9 yards. So when they try to say that their religion is pure and clean and wholesome and righteous, I want them to be able to see, well, wait a minute, well, what about this? And on my ebook, I have a QR code. The way I make it interactive, by the way, is I put QR codes in my book on certain pages, and you can use Google Lens or whatever your QR code reader is for your phone, and you just snap it, and it'll send you either to an audio, a video, or a website to give you more information about whatever the topic is I'm talking about. So for this particular topic here, it'll take you to a website that has a chart of the whole world and shows you crimes that have been done by Jehovah's Witnesses, everything from kidnapping, child molestation, rapes, bribery. You name the crime, most likely it's on the site, and it gives you articles as to what the Jehovah's Witnesses had done, when it happened, where it happened, and a lot of things like that. That way they can see. You might say your religion is different than everybody else, but no, not. In many cases, it's worse. Because while pretending to be so holy and righteous, you guys cover up all of these wicked, evil things that are going on inside the group. And sadly, many of the members have no clue that these things are going on. And that's the job of the whistleblower, to go and at least let them know. If they reject the message, at least you tried. And what I try to do in my book is to give you a different way of reaching them. No matter what the topic is, I'm giving you an outsider's view, a way that they're not trained to deal with different topics. So hopefully this will be very beneficial to my whistleblower friends out there, the Whistleblowers Lighthouse. And again, for those who are wondering where the book is, it's www.jasonzelda. Zelda is like the video game, The Legend of Zelda. JasonZelda.xyz. JasonZelda.xyz. And you can pay whatever price you want for the ebook, over $2. Just pay whatever you can afford and download it right to your computer, and it's there and it's ready for you as a PDF. And I just really pray that it'll be very beneficial to those who are trying to reach their Jehovah's Witness friends, family, and others. I really put a lot of work into this, and I'm really hoping to be beneficial to people.
Yeah, in fact, I want to tell the audience, I downloaded the book in the last couple of days. It's 500 pages, so I haven't read it all. I kind of skimmed through it somewhat, but boy, it really is exciting. It really is exciting. And Jason is he hits the nail right on the head. He talks a lot about the Watchtower history. He talks about the stocks. Now, that what caught my attention, Jason, is you did a video all about the the hidden messages in the witness organization. Now, you did a video all about stocks. and some of the stocks that Jehovah's Witness organization, the Watchtower, owns. Would you like to just elaborate a little bit on that for people that might not know that?
Yeah, I can do that. When you're a member of the group, as many of you guys know who have been in the group, the leadership wants full control over your life and full control over your time and ultimately full control over your money. And there are many people, when they're in cults, they believe that by satisfying the leaders, they're satisfying God. So if they're dying, they want to turn their money, their estates and things over to the leadership because they believe that by doing so, they're getting brownie points with God. Well, when it comes to things like this, there's a whole lot of people that's turned over their stocks, they've turned over their insurance, they've turned over their homes, their property, all kinds of things to the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I managed to find just one of the many trust funds. Who knows how many other trust funds that they've gotten that's filled with stocks? I just happened to find one from 1970 called the Henrietta M. Riley Trust Fund. And within that fund, there was a whole bunch of stocks that was given to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. And it's official tax records that I have in my ebook. You'll be able to click the button. It'll take you to tax records going all the way back, I think, to about the year 2000. I'm not sure why it doesn't go all the way back to 1970 or even further, but for some reason, the tax website only goes back to about the year 2000. But you can actually see what the Watchtower organization has been investing their money in. And you'll be shocked for some of you, for they've been in things like military companies, medical companies. Makes you wonder why it was that they pushed so hard to make sure every Jehovah's Witness was vaccinated. Did they have money in Moderna? Did they have money in Johnson? You need to ask that question, because we don't know about those vaccines. Were they even vaccines? Because it didn't stop the pandemic. People still were getting COVID even when they got vaccinated. Were they making money hand over fist during COVID? There's a lot of things. So at the stock, it'll really shock you. While they tell you on the one side to have nothing to do with military, yet they're investing in military companies that make missiles, guns, helicopters, and other things for the military. I think it's a real eye-opener for a lot of people to know that while the leadership at the top tries to present themselves as being so holy and righteous and above it all, they're actually in it for the money. It's been all about the money from the beginning, mainly during the days of Rutherford and forward. It's been all about the money, all about control, all about the power. And my desire is I want people to come to Jesus. I want them to get saved. I want them to have their sins forgiven. And I want them to have the freedom that he gives. I know Saturday, not for, religion, as you say, but I at least want people to know where I stand when it comes on this. Because my book is not all about tear down the Watchtower. It is all about reach those who are in, whose minds are open, that wants to come out if they hear the truth. There's some that when they hear the message, it ain't going to faze them. We can't help them. But there are some who, when they hear the facts, and when they see the evidence, they'll be willing to come out. Because that's the one thing that I've learned over the years. I can talk with a Jehovah's Witness till I'm blue in the face. Doesn't seem to do much. But if I talk to them and show them documentation and back it up with documentation, that gets their attention, because now they know you're not lying, because you're showing them the actual documentation. And again, not all Jehovah's Witnesses are even open to this documentation. But as whistleblowers, the least we can do is try. And that ebook is all about. It gives you the ammo that you need. And a whole bunch of different topics. A whole bunch of topics I cover in this ebook. You'll never run out of questions, because there's a lot of questions I have in here you can ask a Jehovah's Witness to get them to start thinking. So just give it a try. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys will be able to use it. And I did the best I could. For one guy trying to write a book for the first time, I hope I did okay.
Well, in my book, you did okay, Jason, really, to be able to take the effort to write a 500-page book about the Watchtower. And it covers all the bases. I mean, it covers the theological connection and why they're wrong. It covers the scandals that go on in the Watchtower there. But this Watchtower stock, that always got attention. Now, the Watchtower, there's nothing wrong with having stock, but, there is something wrong with having stock in the wrong companies. And in that video that you did, and you're describing they actually have stock in Boeing. I believe it was Lockheed Martin as well. These are companies that produce military aircraft and bombs and weaponry, and yet the Watchtower, they will not let you go in the military. They speak abusively about it, but yet they have stock in it. And then also Lions Group, which is a movie studio in California. Yeah, Lionsgate, yep, that has a movie studio in California, and it's soft porn. A lot of their movies are soft porn. And here we have the Watchtower actually, endorsing or buying stock in that company. Unbelievable,
And so what I do when you have information like this, the reason why I put together the video the way that I did, where I not only told you the name of the company, but then played you the commercial. So you can see this is what the company themselves say they make. This is what they themselves say they produce. So when the leadership try to say, we have nothing to do with government, oh, really? What about this? Explain this. Explain why you're investing money in companies that make weapons that kill people. Why you claim you have nothing to do with military, nothing to do with war, yet you give money to the companies that make the weapons of war. When you put that money in the box, you complain about us Christians handing about the basket row by row in our church. You complain about that, but you don't understand that when you're putting money into the little box in the back of your kingdom hall and it says worldwide work, it's actually going to the governing body and they're putting it toward making money. And the sad part about it, as we all know, people get into this group and they're used. They're used like slaves. And one thing in my book, I tell you how to sue the Watchtower organization. You and I talked earlier today. We talked about why did they decide to get rid of keeping time. And I told you, I said, I think I know what it was. I told people a long time ago in one of my videos, I said, you guys need to sue the Watchtower organization. Don't do a class action lawsuit because they got plenty of money. They can just drop a big lump sum of money down and that money would have to be divided among thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You might get a few bucks. You sue them individually. You sue the governing body members, you sue the organization, you sue the elders. And here's the grounds. When you were in the group, you had to keep time. It doesn't matter if they got rid of the rule now. It was in effect when you were in there. And when you were keeping time, you were keeping a time card because you're working for a corporation. You're keeping a time card as to how many hours you're putting into the corporation, yet they were not paying you. They owe you money. Now, the average minimum wage in the United States is between $10 and $15 an hour. So imagine if the Watchtower had to pay you $15 an hour for every hour you had on your keeping time record. If you've been there 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, how much money would they owe you? And what I think is somebody took me up on my thing and said, you know what, I'm going to try to sue them. And I think they sued them and won. And the Watchtower realized, oh, crap. Oh, goodness, we got to pay out all this money. We better do something with this rule lest the other whistleblowers out there find out that they can sue us and win money. So they scrap keeping time. They make it public. We don't have to keep time anymore. Don't do it anymore. And that also gives them in their mind, in my understanding, that would give them in their mind the right to destroy the database. That way, if you do try to sue them, now they can say, well, we don't even have any record of them keeping time. We don't have that rule anymore. But there's another way of suing them. I have it in my ebook as well. The Watchtower organization's shunning policy is in violation of the United Nations Universal Bill of Human Rights. And in my book, I point out that at least 5 of the Bill of Human Rights laws that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society's shunning policy is in violation of. And you can sue them on the basis of that. It only takes one, because my desire, as I say, Elaine and her story broke my heart. I want families back together. Okay? I want families back together. And the thing that's going to bring them back together to get rid of this shunning policy, and I think what it's going to take is it's going to take somebody suing this organization based upon them violating these laws, these universal rights that the United Nations said that every human should have. And I think it takes one person beating the Watchtower in court, and they'll have to change the rule. They'll have to change the rule.
Well, Jason, I have to say it's almost happening now. We've got so many countries that are now coming up against the Watchtower. This has not always been the case. I mean, I've been doing this program now going on 20 years. And, you know, we never got points up on the scoreboard. It was always the apostates against the Watchtower. Now it's countries, Norway, Sweden, Belgium, United Kingdom, Canada. It's countries that are coming now. Germany, we have about 12 different countries that are coming against the Watchtower. So this has never happened before. So that in itself is a tremendous effort being put forward to expose the Watchtower. The apostates can only do so much, but when you have countries coming down on them, they are going to have to change a lot of their policies to stay in business, you know?
Yeah, that's a good thing, too, even with the issue going on in Pennsylvania, where the Attorney General there, I believe it's Attorney General, is arresting Jehovah's Witness elders and so forth for all this child molestation. I actually took the time to write, I believe, an 11-page letter to her and include with it a thumb drive that contains the shunning videos and various other things so that they would know in the government that this is how this group actually functions. This is what the leadership of the group this is what they're doing. This is what they're hiding from you. And now that you know that they've been covering up this child molestation stuff, here's some more stuff you need to know about. So who knows what's going to happen with this whole Pennsylvania thing now that they have all this extra information. And again, I've never been a member. I was hoping the XJW community would do it, but maybe it takes a little bit of motivation to, you know what, we've got some grounds, we've got standing, and you have the potential. My whistleblower friends out there, I hope you're listening to me. Some of you guys are living paycheck to paycheck. What harm is it going to be to try to see if you can find a lawyer that would sue these people, to sue the organization, sue the governing body for the violation of your rights? If they're keeping you away from your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your children, they're in violation of these universal human rights that the United Nations says you have. And I believe you have a case. They might even have to pay you compensation. Wouldn't it be great to have them pay you for a change rather than you having to put money in the box like you had to do for so many years?
Well, it all sounds really good. That sounds good, Jason. And I mean, alienation of affection. That has been, you know, many times people brought that against the Watchtower trying to sue them. How you've taken me away from my family. You've taken me away from my friends. The Watchtower continues to win these cases for some reason. But now that the governments are starting to examine it, at least in Europe, they're not doing it here in America, but at least in Europe, they're starting to say, hey, look at alienation of infection, that you are hurting people. You're mentally distressing people by doing this. But boy, if we could come to America, I think that we could do that. We could file a class action lawsuit even. But boy, I'll tell you what, they have a whole battery of lawyers, Jason. That's the problem. And man, they don't spare any expense when it comes to fighting in court. So, but I think the days are numbered. I think what you're saying is true. I believe what you're saying could happen, and I think it might happen in the very near future. But we got to get our government. I've talked to a congressman right here in Massachusetts. I told him years ago what the Watchtower is involved in. I told him about shunning. I said, you know, the Watchtower will cut you off because you don't want to be a witness anymore. All your relatives, your friends, they disconnect from you. And, you know, he didn't seem to think that was an issue. He said, well, you know, I have children that won't talk to me either. He says, shunning's not a crime. But, you know, I tell you, we have to keep working at this. Shunning isn't a crime. It really, really isn't. You know, you choose to talk to people, you choose not to talk to people. So, you know, he's right in that way. But can you have a so-called Christian religion that is breaking families up? That's what really gets my goat. And I'm sure it gets yours too. Christians would not do that. You cannot you can't do it.
That is true. And it's frustrating in that I'm trying to look up something here in my book real quick, but it's with the book, again, you'll be able to see which particular laws that they're in violation of. And you can go after them based upon that. They may say, you know, people have a right to shun or whatever, But when you understand that these people are under a iron-fisted, mind-control group, that all the leader has to do is change the role, and it ends, that will make the difference. When people understand that that's the power the leadership has over them. These people would not be ignoring their own family if it wasn't for the leadership to do so. And that's what needs to come out. That's what the authorities need to know. That's what the powers that be needs to know, is that these people would not, it is not natural for a mother to ignore her children. That's not natural. It's not natural for families to ignore each other. Their blood, they're supposed to be tight. But when you have a religious organization that comes and gets in between that family, that's what the powers that be needs to know is going on.
Well said, Jason. Well said. Now, listen, what I'd like to do is bring people on. We got a lot of people that would like to say hello to you. In fact, even I'm looking at the comments here on YouTube. I can't watch all the comments, but we're on a number of different platforms tonight, Facebook as well, the commenting in there. But Jason, as I told you earlier, you're well known. You're well known in the ex-witness community. We have so many favorable comments, and I'm looking at the live chat here coming in as we're going over the program tonight. And they all like you. They watch your videos. They think that you're an amazing person for wanting to step out and help the people out of the Jehovah's Witness religion. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to open up the phone lines and bring some people in tonight. So you don't mind doing that, do you?
That's fine.
Okay, so let's go to 540. You're on with us, 540. Looks like Virginia. Go ahead. 540, you're on with us. I'll unmute you. It looks like you are muted, but I'll do it to my computer screen here. Okay, 540. All right, if you'd like to say hello to Jason, go ahead, call in right now. He's on the line with us. What do you have to say to Jason? I mean, you listen to his videos. You've loved what he has done. He's done a lot of work exposing the Jehovah's Witnesses. So let's go at 540. You're on with us right now. Go ahead, Virginia. Wow, my goodness, it's unmuted. I'm not sure why we're not getting the person to speak up. You are unmuted, 540. Go ahead. All right. Well, Jason, what's amazing to me is you have done. There you go. Okay, so go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead, 540.
Yeah, well, it's all nice that you wrote this book and everything and all. Since 1989, when I went to the first Ringo conference in Pennsylvania for the ex-witnesses, after that, I started a group over 30 people across the United States. I have been working since then, trying to expose Watchtower. Now I've got into Washington, D.C., and I've worked in Washington, D.C. for the last 8 years. Now, I've got enough of information to say some things, but I'm not going to. I have these 30 people across this United
Excuse me, David. David, excuse me. You know, you've been coming on this program for, 12 years, 15 years, and you always have information that you're not able to share with us. I mean, why don't you share it with us? I mean, you keep saying this.
No,
Really, I mean.
I will not share it with you because all you do is tear it apart, and then you think you have all the.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute, David. I mean, you've been doing this for years. You've been coming on here for years. I have information I'm going to share with you, but you never do it. Well, I can't share it because of this. I mean, come on. I mean, you can't do this for 12, 15 years and get away with it.
They're not getting away with it.
I'm saying you're not getting away with it. I mean, if you're going to come on here and give information, we want to hear information. We don't want to hear I can't share it with you. We want to hear it.
I have more information, and this could all go away. But it will be going away shortly. Bet your bottom dollar.
Well, you keep saying that. You keep saying you got this, you got that, but nothing ever happens. I mean, you gotta put your money where your mouth is. All right, listen, we got Jason. Jason, we're right.
I did put my money where my mouth was. And let me tell you, a lot of the stuff that you researched and everything, I researched 10 years before you even came on.
Well, why don't you come on here many. I'm not picking on you, David.
I got 100 Jehovah's Witnesses out of here, out of Virginia, to become a Christian on my own 2 feet, dude.
Well, listen, you don't have to call me dude, but I'm just saying I respect you. But I would respect you even more if you would come on and say, Rick, this is what I got. This is what I know. But every time you come on here, I can't share it with you. I mean, don't you think that it's not just me, but don't you think the audience gets sick of that?
Well, it's pretty cheeky this way. If all this research was done really well, and he had conferences, enough of people through the United States, he could have this place collapse. And I could too, right now. But I won't. Because I know what the dirty truth is. And thank you very much, and you have a nice day.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you. No, listen, I'm not mad at you. The audience is. The audience picks on me. They say, well, why can't you get David to tell us? I mean, they're picking on me. Okay. All right. Listen, I don't know what happened to Jason. Jason, you still on with us?
I'm still here.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Who would like to say hello to Jason? Who would like to say hello to Jason? You've listened to his videos. You know that he's done a great job. So, okay, let's go. Okay, I'm just going to make sure. Go ahead, sir. What would you like to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to know the title of the book you wrote.
It's called The Whistleblower's Lighthouse.
The Whistleblower's White House?
No, Lighthouse.
Lighthouse.
Whistleblower's Lighthouse. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we got 703. Go ahead, 703. You're on with us. All right, let's go to 603, New Hampshire. Go ahead, New Hampshire.
Oh, hi, Rick. Kevin in New Hampshire. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm a big Kindle book person. Will Jason consider making it a Kindle book and put it on Amazon? I was thinking on Amazon you would get a lot of exposure that way.
I am working on it. I purchased a program. It cost me $300 for this program called Kotobi Author. And it was supposed to be able to take my book and convert it into an iPhone app, an Android app, Kindle app, everything. And it didn't work. I tried to work with the company. The company's out of Italy. I tried to work with the company, and the company claimed they're trying to make updates, but they were moving at a snail's pace. That's why I had to release the book as a PDF, because literally I'm I planned on releasing this book in earlier in the year, but I just couldn't release it because I couldn't find a format that I could put it in because the program wasn't working. So that's why I had to release it as a PDF. That way anybody would be able to read it. But yes, I do plan on releasing it as a Kindle once I can figure out how to do it. Because clearly the software that I'm using is not getting it done, sadly.
Okay, thank you, Jason. I really enjoyed your interview tonight, and it was a real eye-opener for me, even being a witness for many years. So I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Let's go to California. It looks like JP. Go ahead, California.
Hello, Jason. I had a question. I was wondering if one is able to get compensation for Watchtower or possibly sue them for the amount of time that they spent in the field ministry, especially since they changed it. I was born in, but let's say from the time I was 5 years old till I was about 30, I probably averaged about 2 hours every Saturday. And when I compensated what the amount of cost is, just even if minimum wage, it would be like way over $40,000. But that's not even counting the time that I spent during my teenage years, like during the 90s, as being an auxiliary pioneer during the summertime, usually like 3 months. So I'd spend between 60 and 70 hours each month. But at the lower end, I just averaged up from the time I was 5 years old to when I was 30, when I was really active in the organization, that if you average it out just with minimum wage pay, it would be well over $40,000. So do you think that Watchtower is liable for that, since they changed their time requirement, that it's not, required to submit time in order to be a part of your salvation?
I would say talk with a lawyer, talk with several lawyers about it, because they would know better about it. And when you talk to them about it, try to be as clear and direct, because you have to understand that most lawyers have no clue what the Watchtower organization teaches, what their beliefs are, anything. So if you talk with them, you have to be able to break everything down to the smallest parts so that they can understand what you're getting at. That you work for a corporation, you filled out a time card basically for years and years and years, and they never paid you. That's what you need to let the lawyers know, and see what they can do from there. Because I do believe that there's a lot of whistleblowers out there, a lot of XJWs who should be getting paid for all the work they put in, working in the rain, working in the heat, working in the cold. So this organization, building kingdom halls, building convention centers, and now building this multimedia center at their own expense. No, I think they deserve to get paid for all this work.
Yeah,
so I was going to some lawyers.
Yeah, I was going to ask too, do you think a class action lawsuit would be possible too? Because also you bring up that other point with on the regional building committee projects. Even when I was a young child, I remember being 8 or 9 years old, even though I enjoyed it in that, but I remember spending, dozens of hours, on weekends or weeks working on many convention, assembly halls, Kingdom Hall, building sites, growing up. And that, I mean, it just makes you wonder how much advantage they've taken of all their members. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time.
Well, let's go to Arizona. Let's go to 603 out there in Arizona. Go ahead, 603. You're on with us, 603. Go ahead. I think that's Gilbert. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Can you hear me or not?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Oh, man, I was sorry. I thought I unmuted. But, hey, I was just, it's good to know that all that information is out there. And, what was I going to say? I had a brain fart. Well, the first thing I wanted to say is you have to know your audience when you're talking to. Because like earlier, he was talking about, calling the media. And a lot of people have done that. But one thing, Jesse and I, we talk about how nobody really cares about our suffering but ourselves. But when you understand who your audience is, when you get that information that Jason has, you have to get the right information for the right audience. Because one thing you'll tell a newspaper, a TV station, would be totally different with what you would give to, say, a lawyer. Because everyone is interested in different things. So I think, because the last thing we want to do is sound like disgruntled people, right? You don't want to sound like, well, I'm disgruntled, ex-Jehovah's Witness. So the information, which is great that it's there at that website, all I'm saying is that it's really good to really think through about not making it personal and presenting it, and think about who you're talking to is the most important thing. Because I've noticed that when I do that personally and I talk to people, not everybody cares about the same thing, And the other thing I wanted to tell you, one thing I learned, I went to a funeral one time. It was at a local church here in Phoenix, Arizona. It was a small church. And I got to talk to the pastor there. And one thing I found out, that there's he opened up my world to that. There's tons of universities out there, and some universities they dedicate themselves to just churches, the legal aspect of starting a church, and also the teachings of churches, but the fundamental part of growing a church. So a lot of these things that Watchtower is hiding from a video in the last hour and this one, like the stocks and the money in the conventions. Watchtower has set themselves up in a way where they don't owe us anything. They don't have to show us their balance statements and their stock holdings and so forth. But it was interesting when I went to the funeral and I talked to that pastor. In his church, they have certain bylaws, and everyone is entitled to a lot of information. So now it all makes sense to me. This is why Jehovah's Witnesses didn't want you to go to college, and especially they didn't want you to go to a Christian college, because you would have found out that the way that they have been organized under law is organized in a way where you're not even an employee. They don't owe you anything, and I found that very revealing in my dealing with these local pastors and how they're set up legally. And that's why, all of the complaints that we have about Watchtower, a lot of they're laughing because, they're like, hey, we went to college, you didn't. The governing body members, I forget who it was, but I think it was Schroeder, his kid goes to college. And what do they study? Well, they study about how to set up a religion and how to keep the people on the low end away from their affairs. So I found that very interesting. So I just wanted to bring out those 2 points, and I'm glad. And Godspeed to, Jason for putting up that information on that website.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we have, did North Carolina want to come on? North Carolina?
Hi, Rick. It's Sharon. How are you?
Well, Sharon, doing good, thank you. What do you have to say to Jason?
Hi, Jason. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. I just wanted to address what you said about Amazon. I had published 4 books through there, and it's very, very simple to do it. You just go to Amazon Author Central, and it will bring you to the kdp.amazon.com. And it gives you all the directions on how to create, manage, and publish your book. It doesn't cost a dime. And you can go worldwide from there. You pick the price you want. They will give you a chart on, how many pages it is and how much you should charge. And you can go worldwide through that site.
Awesome.
So you know what else I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the link and I'm going to send it to you through Facebook Messenger, because I'm missing Bussy Murray. That's my name on Facebook. So I'm going to send that to you.
Thank you very much. I really.
No problem. And don't forget, remember I told you, you're ever in North Carolina, you're welcome to dinner.
Oh.
Well,
You're
Sharon,
speaking my language now.
Well, Sharon, I heard Sharon, you're a very good cook. I got good friends of mine been to your place numerous times, and they said you're a wonderful cook. Thank you, Sharon, for coming on tonight.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Take care, Jason, and thank you for putting that together.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Excellent.
Have a great night.
Wow, my goodness gracious. So listen, we've got a number of people that wanted to come on tonight and speak with Jason. We've got to go to another program here. Boy, I'd like to keep the lines open. But Jason, you made a big hit tonight. So let us again, how can people get the book?
They can get the book at www.jasonzelda.xyz. jasonzelda.xyz. You can get the book. You can pay any price you want, over $2. And I really hope you'll use it to help get more people out of this cult. I really appreciate it.
Wow. No,
Rick, we're inviting on the show.
I think we do have one more caller coming in from the UK. Go ahead, 447. You're on with us. Speak up. Say hello to me. Say hello to Jason. Go ahead.
I think that may be me.
That's you. Yeah, that's you. Yep.
Hi, Rick. It's Andy from the UK. I've spoken to
to you before. I didn't realize you had Jason Zelda on the show. I've literally just logged onto my TV. Your show's live in the UK. Hi, Jason. Hi, Rick.
Oh.
I just heard a couple of comments about shunning, and it made me smile. We've all been shunned, okay? I remember, I've got two things to say. Something that's happened to me recently in the world, and something that happened about 10 years ago with my sister, who's a pioneer. My elder brother's a cigarette overseer. I was at my sister's house, and I picked her daughter up for Christmas, or for the winter holidays rather. And I was with my niece, my sister's, who's not a Jehovah's Witness, and we joked quickly about the Queen's national anthem, and we jokingly started to do God Save Her Majesty and stuff. And we joked about how my sister, my niece's mother, couldn't sing the Queen's national anthem because the Queen is now dead. And my sister is this is in her house, by the way, in my sister's house. She put her head through the door and said, I can sing the national anthem if I want to. And then walked away. Well, of course, I laughed. And that's the stance with shunning, isn't it? And that's the get-out clause for all Jehovah's Witnesses. Yes, my sister can sing the Queen's national anthem, or the King's national anthem if she wants to, but she'll be punished if she does. It's that free will argument, isn't it? It's the same with shunning. And this is where Watchtower gets out of the shunning argument. The truth is, it is a personal conscience matter, isn't it? Watchtower doesn't truly go to each member and say, you cannot speak to your non-witness family or those that turn away. They do it surreptitiously. It's left to your personal conscience. And that's the get-out clause. And it's like my sister can say, well, I can choose who I speak to. I can choose to do this. So when my sister said, I can choose to sing the Queen's national anthem, that's no different than me saying, I can choose to go out and murder people, but I may be punished if I'm caught. So it's the whole thing's laughable. I think it's laughable. And that's why Watchtower can wriggle through the issue of shunning, because they put people under pressure, but not enough pressure to make it a direction, and it becomes a conscious personal matter within a cult, and that's how they get away with it. Here's my second thought, right? I employ 15 people, and I don't know what happens in the US, but in the UK, you know, we live in a fast-moving society, and we have to respect people, respect their views, which I think we should all do. You don't have to join in, but you know, you should respect people's opinions. In my business, I was told a few months ago that to be accredited and to push my business forward, I needed to ensure that my staff.
Hey, sir, respect him. I'm just going to kind of interrupt here for a second. Did you have a question for Jason, sir?
No, but I think this is really important regarding Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a good reflection. I think Jason will be interested to hear this.
Okay.
We've just gone through a dignity in the workplace. It's where we have to respect everyone's opinions and everyone's views in the workplace, regardless of religion, gender, everything. And so I've just been through that in the last couple of months, and I think Jason would be interested to hear this. And I sat through all of this as an employer and as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and I thought, isn't it amazing that we live in a society where we can accept other people's views and have to do business you have to do that to do business now in the UK. Whereas Watchtower, Bible and Tract Society do not allow dignity within their membership. In fact, if you want to have dignity as a Jehovah's Witness, and if you have a view that does not link to Watchtower, Bible and Tract Society, you're kicked out.
Hey, sir, I hate to interrupt here. We're closing in on time here. We have another program coming up. So what would be the point you're trying to make? I mean, I'd love to have you talk more, but we are closing in on time. We got another program. So what's the point that you'd like to make? Yeah.
I think what I've just said is my point, and I think you're listening to pick that up. There's a great divide between the rules that Watchtower work to and the rules that we have to work to in the world. To move forward in the world, you have to allow people to have their dignity, and Watchtower don't allow anyone to have dignity. I think that's the point. And I think Jason, what do you think about that?
I think, well, first of all, you're 100% right on this issue. And I think the more the public finds out how restrictive the Watchtower organization is, the more the powers that be in the government are going to come after them. So you as a whistleblower and others need to inform the public and the authorities as to what the Watchtower is doing. And I think that from that point, things are going to start to change.
All right.
Until the authorities know what they're doing, they're not going to do anything. So we need to inform the authorities as to how the Watchtower is infringing on people's rights this way. And I think that at that point, things are going to start.
All right, we got one more caller. That's all we
Hello.
can take. Go ahead, one more
Jason?
caller. Yeah, take about 2 minutes.
Yes,
That's
sir.
all we got. Yep. Go ahead.
Jason, I
Yes,
just
sir.
wanted to thank you, like sincerely thank you for your hard work. Like when I watched your videos, I was still a believer of the Watchtower. I believed everything, like every single bit of it. Like if in a Watchtower, they say you have to move, you have to live on the mountains, you have to stop paying taxes, you have to wear pink panties. I will do it. I will do any single thing. And I appreciate your fight against this organization that controls people's minds. And I left, and thanks to videos like yours. So I really thank you, man. You did a great job. You're doing a great job, and it's really appreciated. Perhaps not by you can hear that because we can't meet you, but you are doing a great job. So it's really an honor to have an opportunity to say hi and to thank you for this. Now, I believed all of it, and I don't know what happens after this, but I think the scope of lies it goes beyond the Watchtower, of course, and I think that the path to hell is made by people who genuinely believe that going to hell is the best thing ever. Like genuinely believe that you should sin, genuinely believe that you should do evil things because they are indoctrinated. So your fight is really part of that. So thank you, Jason. I really appreciate your work, and I think you're saving lives. So please go on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate it. And do me a favor, everybody, all my whistleblower friends out there, keep me in your prayers. Again, I got more surgeries to go through and things. Keep me in your prayers. I'm trying to do what I can to help out, and I hope this ebook will certainly help out a lot of people. JasonZelda.xyz, JasonZelda.xyz if you want to get the ebook. Thank you again, Rick, for inviting me on the program. I really appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you again soon, my friend.
Well, thank you. We had more calls, but we can't take them. We're running out of time. But Jason, we're going to hear you in 2 weeks, Sunday. 2 weeks on Sunday, not tomorrow, but 2 weeks from tomorrow. You're coming back on a Sunday program. So, Jason, you're a good man. Don't you ever change. You're getting so many good comments here on YouTube. You'll be able to see them. I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link to the YouTube channel. And boy, I'll tell you, lots of people, they really love you, Jason. Keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up, or out. And thank you for exposing the Watchtower. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome, brother. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you very
Good night,
much.
everybody.
All right. Well, that's Jason Zelda. My goodness gracious. So good to have him on. Now, don't you guys leave us now. We have got some great programming still coming up tonight. We have Rich and Connie, otherwise known as Dick and Connie. Well, they got a program coming up. Now, they have a program coming up. You don't want to miss this. Now, they've been talking here about sexual perversion, sexual repression in the Watchtower. Tonight, they're going to be talking about bedroom laws. They have Joe Daddario. He's coming back on tonight. We have got a great program coming up, so don't you miss it. And they'll tell you more about it as we get them on here next. Don't you leave us. I think you'll find it very, very fascinating. Many marriages have been destroyed by the Watchtower, prying into the intimacy of one's bedroom in the Watchtower. So stay with us. We've got that coming up next. We're going to end this stream right here. And thank you all for coming in tonight. Thank you, Jason. And thank all the people for commenting. Boy, we had so many people wanting to comment tonight. We couldn't get to them all. Thank you. We'll see you. Stay with us. End the stream here.